My husband died, and for 5 years I paid his parents $200 every month like a grief tax I never agreed to. I missed meals so they wouldn't miss payments. I stretched paychecks so they could stay comfortable. Then one afternoon, a neighbor grabbed my arm and whispered, "The dead don't always stay dead." That night, I watched security footage of a man with my husband's limp unlocking their door at 1:45 a.m. No knock. No fear. Just my money walking home. If family can monetize your mourning, what else are they hiding? If you're interested in this topic, hit the like button, subscribe, and type "interested" in the comments. And I will give you a heart. I need you to really sit with this before you judge me, because this wasn't some dramatic movie decision or a weak-minded mistake. This was slow conditioning, the kind that happens when grief, responsibility, and survival blend together until you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. 5 years, every single month, same date, same walk, same envelope. $200 folded so many times the edges felt soft like fabric, like money that had been handled by too many regrets. And the wild thing is, nobody ever forced me. No threats, no contracts, no screaming matches, just guilt wrapped in the costume of family obligation. And guilt is the cleanest weapon anyone can use on a decent person, because it doesn't leave marks, it doesn't make noise, it just quietly drains you while everyone applauds your strength. My name is Keisha. I'm 32 years old. I became a widow at 27, and I have a son named Malik whose laugh can restart my nervous system on the worst days. And for 5 years my entire financial rhythm was designed by two people who claimed they loved their son more than life itself while treating his wife like a monthly transaction. On the 5th of every month I drove to that old brick building in Chicago like I was reporting to a probation officer. The place looked like time had given up on it. Cracked concrete, peeling paint, stairwell that smelled like wet plaster mixed with old drains. The kind of smell that sticks to your clothes and follows you home like a bad memory that refuses to be ignored. No elevator, of course, 5 floors, because pain always comes with stairs. I parked my burgundy sedan in the same spot every single time, next to this faded red paint mark on the curb like the building had branded the street and claimed it the way my in-laws claimed a slice of my paycheck. Before getting out I'd touch the envelope inside my purse like checking a pulse and tell myself the same lie I'd been telling for years, just a couple more months. That lie turned into a prayer. People who've never lived tight budgets hear $200 and shrug like it's coffee money. To me that was Malik's milk, tutoring, basketball league fees, winter shoes. That was the difference between breathing and drowning quietly at midnight with a calculator and a headache. 5 years earlier Marcus, my husband, went to work the oil fields in North Dakota because working people make desperate plans when bills start circling like vultures. The plan was simple: go grind, stack money, come home and finally breathe. His parents Elijah and Viola pulled their retirement savings, $12,000, and handed it to him like an investment in the family future. I didn't argue. Parents believing in their child is supposed to be a beautiful thing. Then Marcus died. Work accident, they said. Immediate cremation, they said. Ashes brought back, they said. Those phrases still live in my body like unresolved static. I remember the phone call. The room tilting, Malik being too small to understand why Mama suddenly sounded like glass breaking, and in the middle of my grief Viola pointed at me like a judge delivering a sentence. You made him leave, you pushed him to chase money, now we're left with nothing. And then she delivered the invoice, $12,000, $200 a month, 5 years, grief with a payment plan, and I paid because I wanted peace. Because I wanted Malik to have grandparents, because when your world collapses you cling to anything that looks like stability, even if it's made of razor wire. Dead men don't defend you, dead men don't explain anything, dead men leave you having conversations with the ceiling at 3 in the morning. The stairwell always felt like a tunnel into another mood. First floor, the superintendent blasting old radio like noise could outrun reality. Second floor, burnt beans from someone's kitchen. Third floor, a couple arguing about the electric bill like love had turned into a billing dispute. Fourth floor, silence. Fifth floor, a kind of quiet that didn't feel empty, it felt guarded. Apartment 504, peeling blue door, security chain always on. Viola loved that chain. It was her favorite accessory, her personal border wall between us and you. She was early 60s but carried suspicion like a full-time job. Sunken eyes, voice clipped, emotion rationed. Her favorite word was business. Everything was business. Grief was business. Family was business. I'd knock 3 times, sharp and polite, the deadbolt sliding back like old bones cracking. She'd open the door just enough for the envelope to pass through. Is that you? Like my voice hadn't paid rent in her ears for 60 months. Yes, Mom, I brought this month's money. She'd snatch it like a hawk catching prey. No counting, no thank you. Straight into her housecoat pocket like it belonged there. The money wasn't even the sharpest pain. Malik was. Every month I tried to sneak humanity into the conversation. Malik's doing great, he keeps asking about you, maybe he can come over this weekend. Same script every time, headache, leg pain, too noisy, too much ruckus. Their favorite phrase was not today for love, not today for their grandson, but always today for my envelope. Elijah barely spoke. He carried this defeated quiet like a man who surrendered years ago. He'd stand behind Viola like a shadow, nodding occasionally, never challenging her. His ideology was survival through silence, hers was control through coldness, and me, I was the bridge nobody maintained. After the door slammed, the deadbolt clicked like punctuation at the end of my humiliation. Sometimes I'd stand there listening for normal sounds, a TV, a cough, anything that proved humans lived inside. Most times it was tomb silence, the kind that raises the hair on your neck. I'd walk back down those stairs with my heart heavy, angry at Marcus for leaving me this mess, and then hating myself for being angry at a dead man. Grief makes you fight shadows. Malik was growing, learning, watching. He'd ask sometimes why Grandma and Grandpa didn't like coming to see him, and I'd lie to protect people who never protected me. They're sick, baby. They love you. That's me teaching my son to accept crumbs. Love isn't supposed to feel like negotiating your worth. Love is supposed to be a safety net. With them it felt like a trapdoor. Survival normalized things that should have offended me. They never asked if I needed help, never offered relief, but were always healthy enough to collect money with Olympic speed, and society protects elders like they're incapable of wrongdoing. Betrayal dressed up as tradition, control disguised as family duty, so I kept paying, month after month, like penance. Like Marcus's death wasn't enough and interest was required. My body started recognizing the building before my brain did. My stomach tightening on the 4th floor, my palms sweating on the 5th, intuition screaming quietly while logic kept shushing it. The shift didn't come from a lawyer or a big confrontation, it came from a neighbor, Miss Hattie, the unofficial mayor of the building, the kind of woman who speaks in blunt truths and fans herself like she's permanently overheated by human nonsense. She grabbed my arm one afternoon and said, "You went up there again." Not a question, a diagnosis, then clicked her tongue and said, "Poor thing, working like a mule to support people who don't deserve it." Nobody had ever said it out loud before. Then she leaned in like the walls had ears and told me next month don't give them a single cent. I frowned, confused, said I only had a couple months left. "It's a debt." Her grip tightened and she said, "The dead sometimes ain't that dead." My skin went cold instantly. My brain wanted to reject it because it's easier to call someone crazy than accept your life might be staged. I said we had the certificate, the ashes. She waved me off, said she wasn't talking about ghosts, she was talking about flesh and blood. She described nights, shadows climbing the stairs, a limp, a dropped shoulder, a familiar walk, and the part that shattered my calm was when she said, "Whenever you bring the money that same night or the next he shows up." My denial cracked, Viola's eyes darting down the stairs, the blinds always drawn, the apartment too silent, the money urgency without visible need. My mind replayed everything like security footage inside my skull. The terrifying question crawled up my spine. If Marcus was alive, what kind of man lets his wife and son struggle for 5 years while he hides? That night after Malik slept, I chose proof over peace and called my cousin Dante, the family tech wizard who can find things people don't want found. I asked him for the camera footage between the 4th and 5th floor. I lied at first because fear makes cowards of honest people, said I lost my wallet, but my voice betrayed me. Dante heard it, asked what was really going on. I begged him to just get it. That was the moment I stopped being a victim and became an investigator. Predators survive because people don't check. Love without receipts is how people get eaten. I barely slept, my body vibrating with anticipation and dread. The next afternoon I met Dante at a quiet coffee shop. He opened his laptop with a seriousness that made my stomach drop, pulled up footage from the 6th of last month around 1:45 a.m., grainy black and white, empty hallway, the timestamp glowing like a countdown. For a few seconds nothing happened and I almost laughed at myself for paranoia. Then a shadow appeared climbing upward, slow and deliberate, and my entire nervous system froze because the left foot dragged in a way my heart recognized before my brain could lie. It wasn't random, it was personal. He moved like someone returning home. He didn't hesitate, didn't look lost. When he reached the 5th floor, he reached into his pocket and pulled out keys. Not one key, a ring, like ownership. Dante whispered, "Do you know him?" The key slid into the lock smoothly. The door opened like it was welcoming him, and for half a second the camera caught the edge of his face under the cap, enough for memory to punch me in the chest. My past stood up and stared at me through that pixelated frame, and everything I thought I understood about grief, loyalty, family, and sacrifice quietly started cracking under its own weight. I didn't scream when I saw him on that screen. I didn't collapse into tears like you'd expect from a woman realizing her dead husband might not be dead at all. My body did something much stranger and much scarier. It went quiet, like every survival circuit flipped into standby mode at the same time. My hands were cold, my mouth tasted metallic, my thoughts lined up in perfect military rows. Because when something impossible walks into your reality, your nervous system doesn't ask questions, it starts preparing for impact. Dante kept glancing at me like he was waiting for a breakdown, but all I did was lean closer to the screen and ask him to rewind it again, slower this time, frame by frame, like I was trying to memorize the anatomy of betrayal. The limp showed again, the slight dip of the shoulder, the unconscious rhythm of a man who has lived inside his own body long enough to forget he even has a limp. You don't fake that, you don't rehearse that, you carry it the way you carry fingerprints. And Marcus had broken his left ankle years ago in a motorcycle accident. He used to joke about it when the weather changed, said his bones could predict rain better than the news channel. That limp had danced through my marriage, across grocery store aisles, through parking lots, into my muscle memory, and now it was climbing the stairs into his parents' apartment like nothing had ever happened. Dante finally broke the silence and said, "Keisha, do you want me to keep going?" His voice had that protective cousin tone, the one that tries to shield you from reality even when reality has already punched you in the face. I nodded without looking at him, because if I stopped now, my mind would start building excuses, and excuses are the oxygen of deception. He loaded the footage from the month before, same time window, same camera angle, same shadow, same limp, same keys. Same quiet entry like a man slipping into his own bed. We watched 3 months of footage in a row and the pattern didn't change. It was almost ritualistic, like a schedule synced to my own payment schedule. Money up during the day, man appears at night, a perfect closed loop of exploitation. And that's when the nausea hit me, not emotional nausea, not tears and drama, real physical sickness curling in my stomach like poison, because my brain finally stopped negotiating and accepted the obvious. Someone was living inside my grief, feeding on it, monetizing it, and that someone shared my son's face. Dante asked if I was okay, and I told him yes with a calm that scared even me. I asked him to copy the files to a USB and not say a word to anyone. His eyes narrowed slightly. He's the kind of guy who reads danger like code. He said, "Keisha, this isn't small," and I told him neither was what they did to me. I walked out of that coffee shop with the USB in my pocket, feeling like I was carrying a live wire. The city noises sounded distant, like my ears were wrapped in cotton. People were laughing, cars were honking, life was continuing, completely disrespectful of the fact that my entire identity had just been vandalized. When I got home, I locked my bedroom door and sat on the floor like a teenager hiding from the world, replaying the footage on my laptop over and over, not because I doubted it, but because my brain needed to burn the image into certainty. The jacket he wore looked familiar, and that realization made my chest tighten even more. I had bought Marcus that jacket before he left for North Dakota. I remembered standing in the store debating between 2 sizes because he liked a loose fit. I remembered the way he smiled when he tried it on in the mirror and said, "You're trying to turn me into a model now." That jacket wasn't just fabric, it was memory, and now memory was walking into a lie every month. I kept staring at his face on our wedding photo sitting on the dresser, that younger version of him smiling with soft eyes and a crooked grin, and my brain kept trying to reconcile that man with the shadow slipping into the apartment at 1:45 a.m., and the dissonance felt like my skull was being pulled apart from the inside. I wasn't just angry, I was confused on a molecular level, because betrayal from a stranger hurts your pride, betrayal from family rewires your nervous system, it teaches your body that safety is fake. I didn't confront anyone, not Viola, not Elijah, not even myself fully, because when you rush into confrontation without leverage, all you do is teach liars how to lie better. Instead, I started observing like a quiet predator, learning the habits of its prey. The next few days I paid attention to everything I'd ignored for years. How Viola always looked down the stairwell when she opened the door like she was checking if someone was coming or leaving. How the blinds were permanently drawn even in summer like sunlight was an enemy witness. How they never invited me inside even during heat waves or storms. How Elijah's silence felt less like weakness and more like compliance, like a man who had chosen peace over integrity decades ago. His favorite behavior was nodding, nodding at Viola, nodding at the world, nodding at injustice like agreement made it less dangerous. Viola's ideology was control, order, leverage. Everything had to be managed, rationed, controlled, even grief, especially money. She loved phrases like "that's how it is," "that's business," "don't make it complicated." Her words always carried the tone of a verdict, while Elijah's favorite move was disappearing into the background, his silence a shield he hid behind whenever morality knocked on the door. And then there was me, the reliable fool, the woman who never missed a payment, never raised her voice, never disrupted the pattern. I started realizing something uncomfortable. They hadn't just exploited my grief, they'd studied my personality, my patience, my conflict avoidance, my instinct to protect peace at all costs. Predators don't randomly pick victims, they choose people who are predictable, consistent, loyal, forgiving, all the traits society praises, and then weaponizes them. The next afternoon, while waiting to pick Malik up from school, I bumped into Mrs. Jenkins from the 4th floor. She was the opposite of Viola in every way, loud, curious, slightly nosy, always chewing gum like she was processing life aggressively. She loved gossip the way some people love therapy, and she leaned over the bench and said, "You still paying those folks upstairs every month? Girl, you got patience of a saint." I smiled politely, but inside my ears perked up like antennas. I asked casually how things were going upstairs, and she rolled her eyes dramatically and said, "Child, it's a circus lately, stomping at night like elephants, toilet flushing at 2 in the morning, and get this, your mother-in-law keeps dragging these huge black trash bags downstairs every night. Heavy ones." I joked maybe they're cleaning and... She laughed like I'd told the dumbest joke in the world. "Cleaning my foot, those people are stingier than the electric company." I peeked once and saw pizza boxes and beer cans sticking out. Pizza and beer. My stomach tightened immediately because those were Marcus's favorite comfort foods. Cheap beer, greasy pizza. That was his ritual after long shifts, Mrs. Jenkins said when she asked Viola about it. Viola claimed they were offerings for the deceased, like they were feeding a ghost with pepperoni and Bud Light. Mrs. Jenkins laughed about it, but my spine went cold. Suddenly all the pieces started forming a very ugly picture. If Marcus was sneaking in for money, maybe he wasn't just visiting, maybe he was living there sometimes. Maybe those nights of silence weren't silence at all. They were containment, secrecy. Containment always costs energy, and that energy leaks out in trash bags and footsteps and nervous glances. I thanked Mrs. Jenkins and walked to my car feeling like I was stepping into a different dimension. Every familiar detail had shifted meaning. I didn't confront them that evening either. Instead, I decided to test the water, gently, like tapping glass before walking on ice. 2 nights later, I went to a department store after work and bought a bulky foot massager, one of those ridiculous boxes that looks like you're transporting a small appliance spaceship. I chose 8 in the evening intentionally, early enough for them to be home, late enough for their guard to be slightly down. When I climbed those 5 floors carrying that box, my arms burned and my heart pounded for a different reason this time. Not fear, anticipation, curiosity, hunger for confirmation. When I reached their door, I paused and listened, and for the first time in 5 years, I heard voices inside. Not television static, not silence, voices, real voices, overlapping, casual, alive. My pulse spiked instantly. I caught fragments. "Eat while it's hot. Your wife just paid. I'll disappear for a while. That fool believes everything." My blood turned into liquid fire. That voice was not Elijah's soft, tired murmur. It was deeper, rougher, familiar in a way that triggered old neural pathways I didn't even know were still active. Marcus's voice lived in my bones. I'd heard it whisper at night, laugh in the kitchen, argue in the car. It didn't vanish just because someone told me he died. I knocked anyway. 3 sharp knocks. The voices cut off immediately like someone hit a mute button on reality. Footsteps shuffled inside. Elijah opened the door barely a crack and his face looked startled in a way I'd never seen before. His favorite mask of tired indifference slipped for half a second and panic peeked out. I smiled sweetly and said, "I brought you a foot massager for your arthritis." He tried to block the doorway physically. No, leave it there, the house is messy." I pushed gently, said, "I'm not a stranger, Pop." I wanted to light a candle for Marcus. His face drained of color instantly like I'd said the wrong password, and that's when I heard it, a dry cough from the back room, short, masculine, not Viola's fragile throat clearing. Elijah stiffened like a caught child. "Your mother's coughing again," he snapped too quickly, grabbed the box and slammed the door shut. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. That cough echoed in my head like a gunshot. Confirmation doesn't always come with fireworks, sometimes it comes with a cough. Behind a closed door, I walked down those stairs slowly, my legs steady but my mind racing. There was no more denial left to hide behind, but there was still a dangerous amount of unknown. Who exactly was Marcus now? What was he involved in? How deep were his parents in this lie? How long had this been going on? How much money had really moved through this little ecosystem of deception? I called Dante the next morning and told him about the trash bags, the cough, the voices, his Tone shifted instantly into full analytical mode. That's his default ideology, data over drama, patterns over panic. He said if Marcus was bringing them cash and not transferring anything digitally, it meant he didn't want a trail, which meant whatever he was doing probably wasn't clean. He also managed to indirectly check Elijah and Viola's bank activity and found something that made my stomach twist even tighter. Their pension deposits had been stacking untouched for years, tens of thousands. Just sitting there, untouched, which meant they weren't living off their pensions, they weren't desperate, they weren't struggling, they were hoarding while draining me dry, greed layered on top of deceit layered on top of emotional abuse. That realization changed the emotional temperature inside me completely. Up until that moment, a small part of me still wanted to believe maybe they needed the money, maybe they were scared, maybe they were protecting their son in some twisted way, but no. This wasn't survival, this was appetite, this was entitlement, this was exploitation wrapped in old age innocence. Dante warned me to slow down, that this could be dangerous, that people hiding like this often have worse secrets than you expect, but something had shifted in me permanently. The quiet, obedient widow version of me had expired somewhere between that cough and those bank records. I wasn't just curious anymore. I was strategic. My grief had turned into focus, my fear had turned into patience, my sadness had sharpened into something colder and more precise, and as I sat alone that night replaying the footage again, noticing tiny details I'd missed before, the way Marcus hesitated before unlocking the door, the way he scanned the hallway reflexively, the way he carried himself like someone used to watching his back, a thought settled in slowly like a heavy fog. Whatever Marcus was running from 5 years ago didn't disappear when he faked his death, and whatever he was doing now was only getting bolder, messier, louder. Trash bags, footsteps, voices. Mistakes always multiply when liars get comfortable, and comfort makes people sloppy. I didn't know yet how far this rabbit hole went, but I could feel it pulling harder, like gravity increasing 1 degree at a time. And somewhere inside that sealed apartment, behind those drawn blinds and that loyal security chain Viola worshipped like a religious artifact, a much bigger story was breathing quietly, waiting for the wrong door to open. I didn't wake up angry anymore. That surprised me the most, because anger is what you expect when betrayal finally fully loads into your bloodstream. But what I woke up with was clarity, sharp, quiet, organized clarity, the kind that makes your movements economical and your emotions disciplined, the kind that turns grief into strategy and heartbreak into logistics. My old self would have been shaking, crying, pacing the kitchen with coffee she didn't even taste, but this new version of me moved like someone who already accepted the war and was now simply preparing the battlefield. I packed Malik's lunch, braided his hair, kissed his forehead, smiled at him like the world wasn't quietly cracking open beneath us, because the scariest thing about betrayal isn't the explosion, it's how normal life keeps going around it like nothing happened. The sun still rises, bills still show up, kids still need breakfast, and monsters still hide in plain sight behind peeling blue doors and fake arthritis. Once Malik left for school, I sat at the kitchen table with my notebook and began reconstructing 5 years of my life like a forensic accountant of emotional crime. 60 months of payments, extra money for holidays, medicine gifts, emergency groceries, gas money when Elijah claimed his leg was too stiff to walk to the pharmacy, every just this once that quietly inflated into thousands. I added it up slowly, deliberately, letting each number land. $14,000 and change. $14,000 drained out of a woman who worked overtime shifts and skipped personal dreams so 2 elderly liars and a hidden grown man could live comfortably in secrecy. That number didn't just anger me, it embarrassed me, because exploitation always carries humiliation inside it. You feel foolish for trusting, foolish for caring, foolish for believing people when they wore family titles. And that shame can paralyze people into silence forever if you let it. I refused to let it own me. Instead, I leaned into curiosity, not emotional curiosity but investigative curiosity, the kind detectives use when they stop asking why and start asking how. How was Marcus surviving financially if he wasn't officially alive? How was he moving without digital trails? How were his parents coordinating this operation without slipping more than they already had? How many people knew? How deep did this thing go beyond just one apartment and one staircase camera? Dante was already quietly digging on his side. He loved puzzles the way some people love adrenaline. He called me midday with a voice that told me he'd found something dirty enough to itch under his skin. He said, "Keisha, your husband's old friend Darius, the one who cried at the funeral, the loud guy who always smelled like motor oil and cheap cologne. Remember him?" My stomach tightened instantly because yes, I remembered Darius. They called him Buzzard as a joke because he always hovered around chaos like a bird waiting for scraps. He had restless energy, fast mouth, fast hands, always flipping something in his fingers like a coin or a lighter. He was charismatic in a reckless way, the kind of man who made bad ideas feel like adventures. Dante said Darius worked at a mechanic shop in Gary, Indiana, but the shop was a front for loan sharking and underground cash movement, a financial sponge for people who didn't want bank records. My skin prickled. This was no longer just family betrayal, this was criminal adjacency. Dante also said Darius's phone location showed a strange habit. Every night around 11 he drove to an abandoned warehouse at the edge of the industrial park, stayed about an hour, then went home, always carrying bags of supplies on traffic cameras, groceries, water, sometimes boxes that looked like bulk food, and suddenly the picture sharpened into something undeniable. Marcus wasn't just visiting his parents for money, he was hiding, rotating between locations. Minimizing exposure, using trusted idiots and greedy parents as his logistics network. This wasn't random cowardice, this was a lifestyle built on evasion, and that realization created a strange emotional pivot inside me. My husband hadn't just betrayed me emotionally, he had built an entire hidden infrastructure to disappear from responsibility, fatherhood, marriage, morality, and I had unknowingly funded the operating costs of his escape. The absurdity of it all almost made me laugh, like life had written the most disrespectful plot twist imaginable, but laughter didn't come. Instead, something colder settled in. Resolve, not revenge fantasy, not screaming revenge, but the kind of resolve that shows up when you're done negotiating with reality and ready to collect receipts. Dante warned me again that this was dangerous territory, that people involved in underground money rarely behave like sitcom villains, that desperation makes people unpredictable, but I didn't feel reckless. I felt anchored, because fear loses its grip when the truth finds
you.